Welcome to Physics of Gamification, the podcast where science meets behavior design. I'm your host, Hakan Uzer, co-founder of MotivaCraft. In every episode, we take one core gamification mechanic and connect it to a law of physics. Not just as a metaphor, but as a way to understand why it works. Today's topic: tiny things, minor choices, the stuff we usually treat as throwaway. Because sometimes what seems like a tiny flap of the wings turns into a system-wide hurricane. Let's dive in. Have you ever meant to compliment someone, but what you said didn't land the way you hoped? One of my clients used a simple recognition feature. Team members could send a quick message after a successful event or a big project wrapped up. No points, just good vibes. Until one day, someone sent a message that read, "You dominated that." 3 words, but they hit wrong. The recipient paused and later said, "I didn't dominate. I collaborated, I negotiated, I led." That one line meant to celebrate triggered discomfort. And just like that, others stopped sending praises anymore. Recognition froze. One tiny phrase, big ripple. That's the butterfly effect. In complex systems, and human systems are always complex, small choices don't stay small for long. Today, we are diving into the micro moments that shape motivation, and how even the smallest design signals can echo across everything you build. What is the butterfly effect, really? Let's step back for a second, to science. The butterfly effect comes from chaos theory. It describes how in complex systems, very small differences in initial conditions can lead to wildly different outcomes. Like the classic and probably overused example. A butterfly flaps its wings in Brazil, and weeks later, a storm forms in Texas. That's not a mystical metaphor. That's math, nonlinear dynamics. And gamification? It's a chaotic system too. Human-centered platforms are unpredictable. People don't react in perfect lines. They react in moods, instincts, assumptions, and micro-cues. And those cues, even when tiny, can spark behaviors you never intended for. Let's zoom in. Where do these tiny choices actually live in your system? Not just in UI buttons, in the tone of your mission names, the timing of your alerts, the vibe of your microcopy, the pacing of your animations, the way your platform sounds, literally, when something is achieved. Let me give you a few contrasts. A mission labeled "Outspace the deadline" feels completely different than "Complete Module 3A." A reward sound that pings like a toaster doesn't hit the same as the one that chimes with subtle elevation. A 9 a.m. email that says, "Reminder, you have 3 tasks left," is vastly different from one that says, "Today you moved the needle." These are all tiny, but they are not trivial. Because the brain doesn't ignore them. It absorbs them, fast and emotionally. Microdesign is precognitive storytelling. It sets the tone before your user knows what's happening. Here's a real design moment, not dramatic, but unforgettable. In one internal learning platform we worked on, users had to complete a training video before starting a mentorship track. Nothing fancy, but we added one line above the video. "You are here because someone saw leadership potential in you." No badge, no extra points, just a line. Completion rates for that module jumped 22% among first-time users. Why? Because the video wasn't just a video anymore. It was a step in a story. It had meaning. Someone solved them. That line, just 12 words, changed how people entered the experience. That's not framing. That's a butterfly. Let's ground this in psychology. There are three big effects at play. Priming. A small phrase or a visual can unconsciously shift how we interpret what comes next. Effective forecasting. We imagine how something will feel before we engage with it. Heuristics. The brain uses shortcuts to judge tone, credibility, and value in a split second. So when your system opens with "time to complete your assignments" versus "let's build something worth sharing," you have already split the paths. Same system, different outcomes. This isn't fluff. This is cognitive science. You are either scripting the emotion intentionally or letting it default to noise. Now, you might be thinking, if every micro choice could wreck my flow, how do I not mess this up? Here's the trick. You can't predict every outcome, but you can design for awareness. That means test micro-content deliberately. Use A/B testing even on labels. Track emotional tone, not just clicks. Create feedback loops that flag abnormal behavior after small changes. Keep a log of even tiny adjustments, because that's where the weirdness hides. And most importantly, approach every detail, every word, color, animation, tone, with the same respect you give to major features. Because those little moments, they shape the whole. This week, go hunting for your butterflies. Pick one small element in your system. Just one. A mission name, a status message, a button label, a notification sound, a tooltip description. Now ask, what emotion is this giving off? What story is it telling, even if it is accidental? Change it. Watch what happens. See where the ripple lands. Because sometimes the biggest shifts start at the wings. You've been listening to Physics of Gamification. This podcast doesn't have a studio budget, but it does have ideas worth testing. If this episode made you rethink the small stuff, the micro decisions that shape human systems, please share it. Not just with gamification designers, with anyone building something human will actually feel. I am Hakan Uzer, and next time we'll explore escape velocity. Why breaking out of disengagement takes more than just nudges. It takes a lunge. Until then, stay in the flow.